Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, welcome.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to see you all at this hour. Very heavy traffic outside that I've noticed. I understand there is a race, Happy Valley tonight, so that traffic is just got a reason for that. Now, one thing you should have caught from his presentation, from Müjdat's introduction, is that plus 30 years, okay? Plus 30 years, now probably it's plus 35 years, I don't know, so it kind of shows a bit of my true age, huh? And I feel pretty lucky for the time of that 30 years, 35 years, because I happen to be in both in academia and also in the business world, with Procter & Gamble, with United Nations Environment Program, with World Bank. I was in different continents. I worked in Kenya, Africa. I worked in the US, I worked in Europe, I worked in Cyprus, and a lot in Turkey, of course. So the reason I just wanted to kind of add this part of it into the intro phase of this discussion is to give you the flavor as how I kind of started to visualize and understand the differences. Are there any differences? You know, that was the big question I had. Because, you know, you don't expect, you know, people are people, humans are humans, you know, two hands, one brain, two eyes, you know. And I just want to go through this journey with you and see whether you will also think the same way I'm thinking now, which brought me to a conclusion, which we'll share hopefully at the end of the lecture or this discussion, okay? So, differences between Eastern and Western mindsets. Well, to start with, the development, the formation of the mindset itself are influenced basically by two general important parameters. One is internal. It's what we bring in with our DNA, all right? What we bring in with our genes. Whether we are woman or man, you know, there are even books, Venus and Mars, right? Very sophisticated and very deep. And I am not an expert in talking about the ins, because, you know, I still believe that we are at a very early stage of understanding the human brain. We don't know how we dream, we don't know how we think, we just have got theories, we hear about them. We are just trying to discover ourselves, basically, right? So it is very, very difficult to talk about the internal parameters that impact our thinking patterns, that mindsets, okay? But external one, like the life experience I'm just sharing with you tonight, right? Culture, religion, these are the things we can discuss probably, all right? These are more easily observable, and we can all individually can say something just going through our own life experiences, okay? So this is what we will be mostly discussing on tonight. Now, there are certain characteristics. I hope you will, at the end, you may agree, you may disagree, huh? So this is not, I'm the professor, you have to listen to me kind of thing, right? Mm-hmm. We just have to have an open dialogue here, but some of the things which I have, you know, come time after time facing some facts. When I am, right, you know, now in Hong Kong, you know, East meets West, right? So you see that that is part of Eastern mindset and collectivism. To do things in more collective way seems to be the way of life, all right? And in the US, I was the boss. I was the leader. I did everything, right? So I was more individual. And they look at you, President Obama, boom. Lincoln, Washington, you know, you Bill Clinton, you name them. Every one of them is just an individual. and the rest is just part of the team. So it's more individual, but here we have noticed the change in the Chinese government on Sunday, but I see a big map. You know, there is a person somewhere in the middle, but you don't see that person to be kind of overshadowing everybody else. All right. So that is one I think one observation I wanted to share with you. Well, East, Confucius, right, says, study the past if you would like to divine the future. Right? So look at the past if you want to make any prediction for the future. So the past is very important in the Eastern culture. But if you look at the Western capitalistic environment, Edmund Burke says, you can never plan the future by looking at the past. Right? So one says, past is so important. I can give you example after example on this, including this 2008 meltdown we're just talking about. All right? When I asked my Chinese, when I asked the question, can you just extrapolate the stocks as you envision to go from 2011 to 2015? In my class, it is like this. I've got, people from all around the world, and the Western-minded ones will just extrapolate, just going up and up and up. All right? Some of them with higher slope, some of them with lower, but it's always up. Eastern students just go a little bit up, flatten it, and then go down. Because they always think that you come down when you go up. All right? So that's a kind of mind positioning that differs really to both sides. Well, when you look at the goals as persons, I think in the Eastern class it's more spiritual. All right? It's more divine. It's kind of more holistic. If you really want everything, then give up everything. Wow. That's an Eastern philosopher, a great commander, Chinese. But on the Western side, people are much more materialistic versus spiritual. Okay? This is again an observation which can be proven time after time after time. The achievement in the Eastern mindset is inside yourself. It is like, for example, again, Lao Tzu did say, he who conquers others is strong. He who conquers himself is mighty. Wow. So it is he. And Muhammad, right, says, the most excellent jihad is that for the conquest of self. All right? So it is in you, within you. Okay? But when you look at the Western part, and you look at this actor Roger Moore, right? He was one of the James Bonds, I think. So he says, winning is, he says, you are not a star until they can spell your name in Karachi. So he has to be outside. He cannot be within himself. So one is within, the other one is outside. On the leadership, well, we just talked about it, we want the leaders in the West to be the people walking ahead of people, right? They are in the very front, all right? On the East, however, you will see, in order to guide, again, from Lao Tzu, it says, in order to guide people, the leader must put himself behind them, not in front of them, behind them. Thus, when he is ahead, they feel no hurt. Okay? But when you look into the Western culture, you will see that leadership is done from in front. Never ask others to do what you, if challenged, would not be willing to do yourself. Okay, so it is again a very clear difference between the two. Well, evolution as persons, as cultures, as industries, and so on. Evolution in the Eastern mindset is cyclic. Right? That's why Americans, when they negotiate with the Chinese counterparts, they hate them. They hate them because nothing finishes. All right? You have a negotiation, lots of smiles, lots of handshakes, nothing happened. Right? You got to have it again and again and again. Because until the trust has been built, the Chinese or the Eastern mindset will not try to do business with the counterpart. They have to build in guanxi, right? They have to build in the trust, the faith in the relationship. So one is cyclic. Like, how many people do Tai Chi here? Tai Chi? No? Nobody? Come on, I do Tai Chi. Anyway, but it is all cyclic movements. Tai Chi is around all cyclic movements because that's how the philosophy behind it is building the sports of Tai Chi. So everything is circular, everything is spherical. On the other hand, on the West, it is linear. You just go on a straight line. And improvements has a goal, and when this goal is reached, it's finished. Then you have got to set another goal. Okay? Now, here is another important thing which I have personally been observing over the last 3 years as I am teaching and running a competition here, which we call $1 million entrepreneurship competition at HKUST, okay? I am the chairperson of that, and this is the 3rd year, and I notice this very interesting phenomenon coming out from the applications that we receive into competition. When we receive entries, I see that radical changes that are proposed in the Eastern-minded proposals, they are weaker. They are weaker. They don't go for radical changes. Right? They do not want to break the harmony. Okay? They just want to go one step at a time, you know. But in the applications coming from, let's say, Europe or Americans, including Russians and some other people with the communist mentality, they would be the changes are there. They are very strong, and we call, by the way, entrepreneurship in Champetier was the person who first used that word, creative destruction. It's a distraction, but it's creative. Right? So to destroy is okay, so long as it's creative. That's the Western attitude. But to destroy in the Eastern culture, no, that's too much. You don't destroy. You try to add value. You want to make it better, but you don't want to destroy. So this is, I think, another part which is different, I believe, in innovation. So sometimes people ask me, when will be another Alibaba? Okay, Jack Ma. All right, Jack Ma. Can Jack Ma become a Steve Jobs? Can he become Bill Gates? Mark Zuckerberg? No. Not really. They can grow and start a very interesting and make it very large, but unless you have this breaking ability in your thinking pattern, I don't think that will happen. So we can discuss this again a bit later. Now, the area that I am very much involved over the last now 5-6 years, entrepreneurship. Well, Eastern people are not emotionally encouraged. They're not so. Whereas Western people are, hey, just go, 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 go. Don't do something new. Do something totally different. Okay. And in the Eastern mindset, it is, well, desires are the cause of suffering. That's Buddhism. So if you remove desire, then suffering will go away. So why do you put a large desire? Okay? But here, it is just the other way around. It says, J. Fred Bussey, I believe, or Bussey, that's from Texas Instrument, he said, nothing is ever achieved by reasonable man. Nothing is ever achieved by reasonable man. You've got to be a different personality. You've got to be a bit crazy. All right? Okay. So, here are some maps that I believe pictorially will try to share my points. Okay? Mindset, linear cycling. All right? This is like Brazilian football. You know, they go and go and go. Now, you, I hope, have not taken any conclusion from what I said so far. I am not saying one is better than the other one. All I am doing is just to make a comparative assessment. Okay? So I don't think one is stronger than the other one is better than the other one. They are just different. All right? So, this is one, I think, importantly. And here we are, on the West. That's our team. Me and me and me. All right? On the Eastern mentality, it is really a team. I remember many times when I was in Tokyo some months ago, when I asked, what is the population of Tokyo, to a group of Japanese friends. If they were asking me, what's the population of Istanbul? Probably 13 million, I'll just throw a number, right? That would be me. Typical. They did not give me an answer. I was surprised. They started to talk Japanese. Then one answer came. But that was the exactly right number for Tokyo's population. The number that I put out would be probably somewhere close. Okay, so this is the kind of mental kind of paradigm and mindset. So, when we've got a problem on the West, the hell with it. Where's the problem? Boom, finished. No problem, man. I'm done with it. Okay? Show me another one. Here, you don't have a big conflict. When I disagree, I come almost to a fight. You know, as a Western mentally, prepared person, I'm ready to go for a fight. If you don't agree with me, I'll try to make you agree. I even bought a T-shirt which says, just do it my way. If you do it my way, you don't have a problem. Okay? And some Chinese friends said, well, where the hell did you get that? And it's silly. It is okay. So, in a nutshell, if we kind of summarize it, on the East, the truth is not searched very much. The truth is accepted. There's a truth. Somebody told me that's a true thing, and I'll probably won't question it. On the West, we have to find it. We have to prove whether it's the truth or not. Social responsibility is much higher on the Eastern mindset, and individual rights are much more important on the Western mindset. All right, as we shall see a demo in a moment. So Eastern people think themselves as part of a larger whole. It's holistic. All right, and Western see themselves as individuals. I, me, you are you, he, he. All right. So, have you seen the movie Lincoln, Abraham Lincoln? Huh? When he's trying to amend, the 13th amendment of this big thing, and he's using Euclidean theory there, and he's quoting that. All right? He says, in that part where he says, if two things are equal to the same thing, then those two things must be equal to each other. All right? That's Euclid, Euclidean geometry. All right? If two things are equal to the same thing, then those two. So that's where he's trying to say that black and white people, so long as they are people, they should be equal in front of law. Right? But he's very linear. All right? A very nice book, by the way, and a great experimental book on this. If this idea of different mindsets catches your attention, is by Professor Richard Nisbett. He is from University of Michigan, and he did write this book called The Geography of Thought. All right? And he wrote it with some colleagues from the eastern part of the world. Okay, so here we go. Now, we've got Western-minded people here. We've got hopefully Eastern-minded people here too, because some people might look Eastern, but they may be, raised in Western society, so they are not Eastern anymore, huh? Okay? So they showed this picture. Nisbett does it in the US, and Masuda does it in Japan. So they've got their students, okay? And they show this picture. And then they ask us, describe what you see in this picture. Right? So they are just getting feedback from the observers, students, all right, about this picture. And they give this picture with the original background, only this part of it, then no background, and with this kind of a background. So they just give these pictures to the students and try to understand how they will react to these pictures. And here is an interesting finding. Look at that. In Japan, they made 50% more statements on the background information. Okay? Oh, there is a nice pool with the green color, with a nice stone, with some small fish and a big fish swimming in that pond. So they made a description of the whole thing. What did the Westerners do in the US? They just talked about the big fish. Their attention is so focused. They're just looking at what is different there. They're not looking around the whole thing. All right? So, around 70% of the statements, they talked about inert objects than the Western group. And Eastern people there was a pond, and blah, blah, blah. So that's how they would be starting their essays. And the Western would say, the fish in the middle had a bright, whatever, red color, and had yellow, beautiful fins. It was bigger than the rest, and it was very beautiful, blah, blah, blah. Okay? So we're looking at two things. And here's a very interesting example from that book. Now, this question goes to you. So you see, we have a chicken, we have a cow, okay, and we have some straw. How many people here would group cow with A and cow with B? How many people would group cow with A? I, 1, 2, 3. Don't be shy, come on. Huh? You would go for that because animals, right? Okay. How many people would put these two together? Why? They're so related, right? Well, animals are related too. They are from the same, family of animals, right? But this was so typical. I mean, anytime when you make this picture to anybody, any of your colleagues, yes, ma'am.
Why don't you ask which one of you will group them three into one group? They're all related to each other.
That's another way. I didn't think about that. And again, thank you very much for this evening. I hope it wasn't too boring. Hope to see you next time.
I would like to thank you for your fruitful and exciting talk. Before the finish, I would like to say something and I would like to give something.
Oh, I thought I had flowers.
Professor BEBA, as an academic, he has been teaching and educating new generations of Hong Kong with love of Turkey and with love of friendship. So he's a good example for us when introducing and promoting our countries. So we would like to, we appreciate his efforts and contribution of building bridges, building dialogue bridges between the countries, between Turkey and Hong Kong. So we have a very humble gift for you. Please accept this as a sign of our appreciation.
Thank you very much, Mirza. Thank you. Good things come in small packages. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.